the big screen mainstream actors today in his history.
Well, so Doug, here's a question. How can you tell the difference between a real NFT and a fake?
Good afternoon. Welcome to the Tech School Podcast, powered by DSDT. I'm Josh.
And today I am Stylist Carlos.
What in the world? I mean, I like your shirt, but come on.
I'm Mr. Styles P, if you will.
Styles P?
Right. Styles P.
Styles P.
Mm-hmm.
Good day to you.
Absolutely.
All right.
How are you today, sir?
I am doing well.
That's good.
I'm doing quite well on this Tuesday afternoon here in Detroit. Probably the last of our warmer days.
Yeah.
For quite some time.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hearing.
In Detroit.
Yes. So start to bundle up.
I've been already doing it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've been watching the weather for the past week, seeing 44, 47 degrees, and it's like,
It's trickling in.
Yeah.
At a steady pace.
So I love, in case you don't know, I love H&M,
mm-hmm.
right? That's like my favorite store to shop at. And so I was at H&M down in Texas, and it's like literally 90 degrees down there still. And yet you go into H&M and it's all winter garb, like jackets, fleeces, you know, turtlenecks. And it kind of took me aback.
Were people in there buying it?
I was. I'm just saying.
I mean, I feel like it doesn't legitimately until maybe about legitimately December.
Yeah, well, you know,
and their code is, unless they get a freaky ice storm, their code is legitimately
64,
64, 50s.
Yeah,
at night.
They got these big plush coats in there, and I'm like, man, for a minute I thought I was in Michigan.
Oh wow,
you know, but all the same, like I said, I love H&M. Love H&M.
Yeah, they have a lot of goodies in there for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So how was Texas?
I like Texas.
Yeah.
First time ever going to Texas. You know.
Oh, this was your first time.
This was my first time.
Okay. Where did you go exactly?
Flew into Austin, stayed the night in Austin.
All right.
And then I made my way over to Corpus Cove, Killeen, and Harker Heights, which pretty much are in the same area.
Yes.
Around the base there. Went to Fort Hood. So that was an experience within itself. But yeah.
Right on.
That was the gist of it. So we're in the process with a partnership of setting up a DSDT location there in around Fort Hood.
Okay.
We were able to go down, meet up with the team, and you know, they were taking us to the base to do a tour. Well, guess what?
What?
Carlos couldn't get on the site. I'm just saying. I couldn't. And so
why not? You don't have your clearance?
No, I don't have a clearance.
Yeah. Military base, you kind of have to do that.
Not only do I not have a clearance, but they also do background checks when you show up to the gate.
Yes.
Right. And I'm all of a sudden like, well, didn't nobody know that I have a background? You know what I'm saying? Did anybody inform me about, you know, flying all the way down to Texas and going to a military base? Oh yeah, by the way, we do a background check as you come through the gate. So I'm gonna have to jump through a little red tape, but all the same, it'll get taken care of. You know,
it will work itself out.
Absolutely.
But once you know you get through the red tape, if you will, what are the plans for Fort Hood regarding DSDT?
Yeah, so we have an opportunity to train more military personnel down in that region, specifically for the tuition assistance that they receive outside of the funding sources that the military veterans use now coming here, which would be your vet reps, VR&E, vet tech, as well as the regular GI Bill educational benefits. So we're going to be partnering, and we'll announce this a little later, with an organization that already has ties there at the base. Now, keep this in mind. Fort Hood, as I've come to learn, is the largest military base in the United States. I mean, it's like 340 square miles, you know, and so I think that's pretty significant. Now,
very significant.
Absolutely. And so we're looking at placing a location there so that those veterans don't necessarily have to travel to Detroit
right,
in order to have that training facilitated.
Okay.
So you know, that'll be pretty good, pretty nice. And we're actually having, with this incoming class, I expect to have at least anywhere between 100 and 300 students that are part of that program that are going to be enrolling here at DSDT over the next few days.
Awesome. Assuming everything goes as planned, ideally, when are you looking to launch this expansion?
Oh wow! So that's the weird part, right?
Mhm.
Well,
Is it that early on?
No, it's not. So we have a couple hurdles that we have to clear. One, the biggest hurdle is that whenever, and this is weird, right? So the VA has this rule. Well, it's a law, kind of,
Mhm.
and that rule is that your training program has to be up and running for 2 years before you can apply to get GI Bill benefits in each state. So even though we are approved by the VA here in the state of Michigan, whenever you go to a new, whether you would go to Ohio or Illinois or Texas in this regard, even Florida, you have to put in a new application. And that application won't be reviewed until you've been in that state, in that location, having graduates for at least 2 years. It's the weirdest thing. That's probably one of the dumbest rules I've heard thus far, right? But
Interesting.
it is what it is. So in the meantime, you just have to find other ways to kind of support that operation outside of regular GI benefits. And mainly it would be more of your FAFSA students,
Okay.
maybe WIOA funding if you're working with the cities there in the location, but it definitely has to be at least 2 years before you're eligible for the GI Bill educational benefits.
Any kind of reimbursement for students on the
Well,
back end?
no, not
No?
necessarily.
Okay, just-
Not anything that they can't already get outside of FAFSA.
Mhm.
You know, if depending on the scenario and the Pell Grants, then they may get some form of reimbursement on the back end.
Gotcha.
But outside of that, you know, GI Bill is where you have students enrolling all the time,
Absolutely.
and they receive monthly housing allowance. You know, so and even still, there may be opportunity to do like your vet techs and your VRNE and your VRAPs, but you know, for most veterans who use the GI benefits and they depend on those, then this is definitely something that has to be, I think, legislatively, it needs to be revisited. And it's been this way for whatever the reason. But even those that are in the states and they're in these agencies, they don't understand why it's that way. But it's just the rule we have to follow.
Okay. Well, keep us tuned. Keep us posted.
Yeah,
We will stay tuned.
most definitely.
All right. So we got the DSDT news out of the way. Let's get into a little social media action.
There's a little social media action this week.
Yeah, a little social media action. What's happening this week? Let's bring in our lovely friend Amber Boone. Good afternoon. When did you create that? right, white kid.
Right. That's what we do around here.
Amber, good afternoon. to you.
Good afternoon. How you guys
Doing well. How are you, friend?
doing? I'm good. So I'm currently at a conference and it's really loud behind me. So I'm trying to.
Oh, you're
I'm
at a
trying
conference. Well, before we get into the social media action, tell us about the conference you are attending.
This is for real estate. So it's not as exciting as social media, but it's it's EXPCon. Yeah, so I'm learning lots of good stuff and actually a lot of stuff about social media, branding, marketing, and stuff in regards to real estate. But yeah, so that's what I'm doing.
And what's the name of the conference again?
EXPCon,
All right. And where is it located?
Vegas.
Oh, out in Vegas. Okay. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. So I'll leave it
Look
at
at
that.
it. So where are you, which hotel are you at?
So this is in the Mandalay Bay Convention Center. That's where I'm at right now.
I stayed at Mandalay Bay. Are you getting it in while you're out there, or are you just strictly there for business?
I'm in Vegas.
Exactly. I mean, Amber, I don't know why he asked you that. I mean, you're gonna hit at least 1 or 2 day parties.
Yeah. So it's all good times. But I'm excited to still be able to hop on with you guys. I've got my little setup here against the window. Let's get into it.
Let's get into it. Okay, so what's going on in the world of social media and tech news with Amber Boone?
So lots of fun stuff. The first thing, which this is really bad for me, but I guess good overall, TikTok is launching live shopping. Now I'm already really bad on TikTok because if I see something, I will go and buy it. Like people are always posting on TikTok, and I think TikTok has created a ton of business for Amazon because people do like get ready with me videos, fashion videos, household videos, organization videos, and you're like, ooh, I want that. Okay, links in my bio to the Amazon shop, and then I'm going on Amazon at 2:30 in the morning buying stuff I don't need. Now it's going to be even easier. Now it's going to be even easier for me to, you know, max my credit cards out because I can buy it directly from TikTok. I don't even have to hit that extra button.
Oh, wow. So for someone who is trying to figure out TikTok, I mean, so they're just going to have ads pop up? Break this down for me, Amber.
So it's going to be video. Basically, like, I don't know how familiar you are with like Instagram, Shopify, where you can see an Instagram picture and it'll say shop product and you can click on it and it'll take you right to the checkout. So it'll be similar to that.
Okay.
Because, you know, TikTok and Instagram are constantly in competition. So it's going to be where you will be scrolling. You'll see something, you can click and buy. And you don't have to go to a user's profile and then click on their link in the bio and then go to Amazon. You can just do it directly from TikTok. So it's going to be really good for businesses and brands because that takes everything to a whole new level.
Okay, so from your personal experience,
social media taking our money.
Does it
work?
Oh
my God. Yes, 1,000,000 times it works. Listen, people are impulsive these days, and the more buttons we have to click to do something, the less likely we're going to be to actually go through with that purchase. If I got to take too many steps, the result of it ending up, you know, actually being shipped to me is going to lessen. But if I can just click a button and boom, boom, yeah. Me and 99% of every other woman out there, and probably a lot of men too, is gonna make shopping all that much easier for us. So yeah, this is great. I mean, this is good for
online
businesses.
Shopping, yeah.
I hate to admit this, but she's so right.
Oh, 100%.
She's so right.
100%.
I mean, true story. Can I tell the truth today, Amber? Can I tell the truth to your credit?
What's going on?
I got this shirt at about 2:30 in the morning. I'm just gonna say it. I'm just gonna say it, right? I just happen to be scrolling in my TikTok feed, and these garbs came up, and I couldn't get away from them. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, and they keep following me everywhere. I say, man, that look like it might be my style. So there I am at 2:30 in the morning. I mean, I got the light because I don't want to wake my wife up. I got the light. I'm trying to pull out my credit card. You know what I'm saying? And voila, there it is. And absolutely, probably one of the best purchases that I've made in a while. Because I
By the way,
do it.
It's a nice shirt.
Well, thank you very much, Josh.
It is.
I'm just saying. I'm trying to step my game up this year.
I feel like we're all kind of matching with the black and white here.
Yes, we are. I was at the mall today to pick up a package for stuff that I bought online, and I stopped by and I saw a sales representative over by the cologne section. She's like, "Hey, what did you get?" I was like, "Yeah, I ordered some stuff online." She's like, "Don't order online." I was like, "Well, the problem is you find better stuff online."
Yeah, right.
I mean, I bought some cologne from her to make up for it.
Right.
But you just find better stuff.
Not only that,
fashion online.
Not only that, but people are really tired of being sold to. We're tired of traditional ads. We're tired of going to a store and having somebody follow us around the store and tell us what we should buy and why we should buy it. And so I think the idea of, you know, we're buying from people. We're real people like you and me are like, oh my gosh, look, I just got this shirt. And you're like, oh, that's a good shirt. I like that shirt. That shirt would look good on me. And we trust other people. We trust people. We don't trust brands. We don't trust businesses, but we trust people.
There has become an irritation that continues to grow when you're at a store and someone just pops up right behind you. Hey, can I help you? I will let you know if I need any help.
I get agitated. I get agitated. Look,
I do too.
I call for you.
No, if I need some help, I will definitely find you.
Right.
My God, it's almost a turn off.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, 1,000,000%.
When you're online, it's like, oh. Hey, Carlos, what do you think about that? Hey, Amber, what do you think about that?
Yeah.
Alluding to your point, Amber, like, oh, Josh, Carlos, yep, that would look good on you.
Yeah.
That's absolutely true.
Click, bought, done.
That's right. Unless it's 2:30 in the morning, you can't get anybody's opinion, then you end up with a shirt like this.
Wife, my love, what do you think about that?
You just go haywire.
Some of my best purchases came through late night scrolling.
All right. So what else is happening in the news?
All right. So Instagram, speaking of ads and being sold to, Instagram, the platform I love to hate and hate to love, they are increasing their ad load because they're losing money. Like Meta, Facebook, they're money hungry. I'm losing interest in them more and more by the day. But so they're basically just going to increase the ads, the type of ads that you see, the frequency of ads that you see. They're increasing the ability to be able to put ads on actual feeds, instead of just like as you're scrolling. If you notice, if you actually count, every fourth post on Instagram feed or on the Instagram feed is an ad. And it's just gonna increase, and it's gonna increase its ad options and everything. There's going to be horizontally scrollable ads that you can have anywhere from 2 to 10 images. So again, this sounds good for brands, but the amount of money that has to be spent by a brand for it to be effective on Facebook and Instagram is really losing its ROI. And they're trying to fight this by doing this, but I don't think it's a good move. That's my personal opinion. I don't think it's a good move. I don't think it's going to work. People are going to be mad about it.
It's getting away from what social media is, what it was created for.
So what do you think? How do you think that, Josh?
I mean, Facebook, Instagram didn't start off with a whole bunch of ads all over the place.
No, but they had to figure out a way in order to monetize.
I get it. You do have to make money, but if it's taking over the purity, I'm not like,
the purity. Is that what you call it?
That's what I'm calling it right now. I mean, like it's not genuine. And I look, I get it. It's a business, as you just alluded to. You have to monetize social media to a degree. But if it's ad, I'm not looking for ads. I'm looking to keep in contact with everyone I don't see on a daily basis.
I get it.
It's a buzzkill.
That's right. Because if you want to buy something, you want to be slicker. You want to be sucked into buying something accidentally, not done on purpose. Like you want to think that it was your idea when you saw that shirt to go on ahead and buy it.
Yes. And the way, so with the ads on Instagram currently, before it gets out of hand, and what TikTok is apparently trying to do, as you mentioned a moment ago. Okay, if you have that one quick ad where, I see something, I better click on it right now. That's different to where you're just overloaded.
I mean, I get it. I see ads all the time. Now, I'm the guy, I actually purchased the YouTube Premium so that I don't get the ads. And I'm a digital marketer, right? That's what I do.
I have YouTube Premium as well.
But if Facebook had the same option, I would pay for it.
Boom. And you're making money. You're making money.
You'll get that money from me.
Yes.
I'm just
that
saying.
$15.99, I am happy to pay to YouTube monthly.
That's right.
I feel like that's different. I won't pay for no Facebook Premium. I'll be like, you know what? I'm just gonna hop on over to TikTok completely. I'm not paying for Facebook.
I'm gonna spend it. All right. So what else is happening?
Well, speaking of. Yeah, I was going to say, speaking of Facebook, so in what we see on our feed, they are rolling out more options, which I'm very thankful for. And I don't know, it's rolled out for some people, but basically you'll start seeing where there's a button where you show more or show less. They're giving you the option when you see things in your feed to show more of that kind of post or less of it. So when you click show more, it's going to show you more of that kind of post for the next 60 days. If you click show less, it's going to show you less of that kind of post. Now, when I say that kind of post, it could be a number of things. It could be less posts by that particular person. It could be less posts talking about clothes and shopping. It could be less, whatever. It's like a combination of those things. It'll say, okay, Josh doesn't really like these kind of posts, so we're going to show them less for the next 60 days. Or let's increase the amount of posts that he sees by this person or talking about this specific thing. So, because right now you can hide people that you feel like you don't like their content, you don't like what they're posting. You can hide the post. You guys are still friends. You just don't see their content. But this kind of leverages a little bit. So you're not completely hiding it. You're just seeing less of it. And it gives you a little bit more control over what's on your feed.
I feel now, this is what I feel. I feel like I'm getting inundated with so many new features and new additions to these platforms. And I just wanted the same OG. I wanted the same old way that it's been for. I just go there to look at, whether it be family, friends, relatives, whatever the case may be.
Yes.
But I'm not looking for the extra features. I still haven't posted a story. I'm sorry, I haven't.
That's a little off.
I haven't done a reel. I'm sorry, I haven't. You know, I'm there, but I like watching everybody else's stuff. But man, I don't have time. I don't have time.
See, and I'm the opposite. I
Carla.
post like crazy, but I don't watch everybody else's stuff because I don't like consuming all that. I don't know what I'm consuming when I'm scrolling, so I'd rather just post and keep it moving.
I agree. You're absolutely 100,000% correct.
Oh, Amber. So, question with this particular feature: are users able to get feedback on what maybe not what a specific friend or someone you follow likes or dislikes, but do you get like a general of okay, this data shows people liked this post? Insight. Do you get insight as a user?
You don't as a user, but what you're doing by showing less or showing more is providing Facebook or Meta with the feedback. That is your feedback to them, and then they can take that and analyze it and say, okay, this particular type of post or this particular person or whatever is getting a lot of show less, so we're just going to move them right on down. Versus somebody else who people are like, oh, I want to see more of their content, and they'll get moved up. So, I mean, I think this has some potential. I'm interested to see how it works. I think like you, Carlos, I'm kind of like, you know, I like the same OG, like the original. But I do think some of the new features have been good and necessary. I wish Instagram and Facebook would just listen to the people. When we say bring back the chronological timeline, bring back the thing. We've been saying this since they changed it. Like there are certain things that it's like you just keep messing with it. Leave it alone.
You can. I agree 100,000% again.
It sounds like, Amber, one tiny silver lining, you're kind of taking control of the algorithm a little bit.
Or people are taking control of it for you. I mean, for me, for instance, if I'm posting stuff and everyone's saying show less, that's hurting me. So I'm not taking control of the algorithm, but the people who are seeing my stuff are. And they're saying, okay, this person needs to be ranked less, or this content needs to be ranked less. I want to see less of it. So it does put it in our hands a little bit more, which I think is cool. But again, I'm interested to see how this rolls out, how it plays out over the course of the next few months.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow. That's what I'm talking about. And again, you're in where? Vegas?
Vegas.
How much longer are you there?
I come home Saturday, so I got the whole week.
Wait, when did you get out there?
Yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. Well, enjoy your trip. Be safe. Be safe. Be safe on the strip.
Amber. Be safe.
Right.
I'm gonna be safe.
All right. So if anybody wanted to follow you, Amber, where can they catch you up at?
Get Real with AB.
Get Real with AB. Amber Boone, everybody. Amber Boone.
Thank y'all so much.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Amber Boone, everybody. Josh.
Yes, Carlos.
I am going to let you do all the honors of bringing up our next guest.
Oh, yes.
Right? Because I didn't think that anybody probably could do it better than you at this point, right?
I would like to introduce influencer, former anchor reporter here in Detroit. Yes, the one and only Robin Schwartz as a special guest for this episode of the Tech School Podcast. Robin, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you for joining us. How's the day treating you? What are you up to? I know you're busy constantly 24/7.
Yeah, just working 24/7, like you said. I couldn't resist going to get my online purchases to show you.
Yes.
This was an Instagram late night.
You
Boots.
You caught it on Instagram.
By the way, this was like during COVID when we weren't going anywhere. So literally no reason to buy them, but
no. I'm sure there was a good reason. I'm sure you got a good deal.
Sure. Let's go with that.
The reason was to wear them around the house.
Right. And feel like I was going somewhere. But anyway, they were within arm's reach. So I thought I'd grab them to show those to you.
Robin, Oh, thank you again for joining us. All right, so tell the people a little bit about yourself. You're a former anchor reporter at Fox 2 News here in Detroit. You're in PR now. You're a social media influencer. Just give the folks a little bit more background on who you are.
Well, yeah, thank you about the social media influencer part. I think Josh, we talked about this. I think our paths just crossed at Fox 2.
Yes.
I worked there from 1998 to 2014, anchoring and reporting the news. I anchored the weekends with Ron Savage, the late Ron Savage, who I love very much, and spent 8 years anchoring every Saturday and Sunday night with him. And reporting, out on the streets, first during the 10 o'clock news, and then later moved to the 5 and 5:30 and 6 o'clock. And, I was new to Michigan when I came here. I had never been in Detroit before. So it was like a whole new thing for me. I was a lot younger and I was really just pursuing my broadcasting career. And then in about 2014, I, had a baby. She was about 6 years old. At that time, I decided to do something different with my storytelling skills. And I went into corporate PR for a short time and then quickly pivoted and decided, you know what? I really want to own my own PR and video production company. It's something that I had really wanted to do for a long time, and started that in 2016. And shocking, the time has flown so fast, but it's like going on 7 years now. So it'll be 7 years in 2023. Pretty amazing. And it's something that I never even really knew that I could do. When you go to college and you study broadcasting and then you pursue a career in TV, you're not thinking about like starting your own thing. And so I didn't even realize it was possible. And then technology changed. Going back to the old part, I was so old that there were no cell phones when I started in TV news. So sad but true. Sad but true. So, because of the changes in technology, it really opened up all kinds of doors for me and enabled me to tell stories in different ways using the internet and, reaching an audience that way instead of just doing daily news, which that's great. And it is wonderful, but I wanted to try some different things with my skills. So that's kind of my story and I'm sticking to it.
Hey, and that is a great story. And I'm sure you can agree, Robin, that the things you did learn while working in broadcasting just pretty much prepared you for your current venture now.
Absolutely.
The skills of multitasking and so on.
Oh my gosh. And actually, it's funny when you go into a corporate environment, which I had never worked in, you realize quickly like, wow, TV news trains you for everything. You can react immediately. You can make quick decisions. You can, like you said, multitask. I mean, when you're juggling, 2 stories a day or more, or, doing 2 stories today, but also setting up your story for tomorrow and the next day and thinking about what's going to happen this weekend when you're anchoring, you get really good at doing a lot of things. And I'm using those skills right now. Probably can't see way in the background there. Whiteboard.
Oh, we can see.
But I'm juggling multiple projects now. So, I'm working on a series of videos for one client and then social media things for another client. And then I have a video shoot tomorrow. And, it's just a lot of, honestly, I feel like I still work in news because it's really a very similar pace.
As far as content, what kind of content have you created over the years with your production company?
So, I mean, amazing. Again, things that I never knew that I would have the chance to do. I've done 2 documentaries, which have won Emmy Awards, which I'm really, really proud of. One was called Detroit is Limitless. And actually, that's the first time Carlos and I met each other. It was during that production, which was in 2019. We were just starting to document efforts to bridge the digital divide in Detroit. And so we followed some students through a summer, what I call a summer of technology, where they got a chance to try internships and work with companies like Microsoft and do, coding boot camps and all kinds of different things. And that turned into our first documentary, which, I had not done anything of that length before. So that just sort of like ignited a whole new passion for me of telling longer form stories. But, we do everything from like 30-second commercials that you might see on Comcast, which, might be a promotional piece for a nonprofit organization, to videos for corporations, just everything in between. My specialty is just heartfelt human interest stories that really move people, and, stories that typically involve what I call everyday heroes, or people who are really making a difference despite some odds that they might be facing. And we even got to do a video on DSDT, which was really cool. So that's
that part.
Oh, tell us about that video.
Carlos, you tell. Carlos is in it. He said, "What'd you say? That was your what moment? What moment was that for you?"
I'm getting
exactly
bashful all of a
said.
sudden.
But let me tell you. So
it was a Hollywood
and I will
moment.
pull up the video here shortly.
Okay.
But the video was about the 14-week program that we did with the city of Detroit's Connect 313 program. And it was about two of the gentlemen who completed the program and received employment from it. And I thought that the piece was so on point, and I just you couldn't have done it more perfect.
Thank you.
And I also got to see a side of Robin that made me say, we need to talk to her, because I mean, just face it, like a lot of us who've gotten up over the years in 2 o'clock, watch Fox, we see you guys, right? But we don't never really get to have these kind of intimate conversations that I've had with the both of you for quite some time now. And I just wanted her to come on to tell that side of that creativeness of her. Because we see you and you do this journalism and you all, all on the go around the city, but you guys are some of the most impressionable creatives that one could ever have the opportunity to speak to, and for me, I love the creative community. And so many times individuals, they get pigeonholed into one area or one aspect of life. Like, I think that when I graduate, I want to be this, or when I grow up, I want to be that, but that isn't necessarily what life is preparing you to be. You get all these skills and you wake up one day and you like, well, I thought I was just going to have to use this hammer to do X, Y, and Z, but now that hammer becomes something greater than what it started out as. And that's what I see, so I just kind of wanted to tap into that conversation because our students need to hear that.
Yeah.
Now, I was just saying that we were at Fort Hood over the weekend. Now, those jobs that we are looking to place individuals in are technical jobs, right? We're going to train them to do some forms of cyber security, all right? But what about, and I'm often saying this, Josh, what about the creatives? What about the creatives? They're not as much included in these conversations when you're talking about workforce development and, the opportunities that are coming even into a Detroit. What about the creatives like a Robin and myself? What about us? Nobody's necessarily allocating all these WIOA funding in order to help the creatives to create and continue the arts that we so love. And there's not as many opportunities there as well. So I have to have these types of conversations to continue to inspire our community that are the creatives.
Yeah. I mean, well, one thing I do want to say about Detroit, and we just came off of Digital Inclusion Week, which was an amazing week of, discussion around technology and bridging the digital divide. And I heard one of the community ambassadors talk about how even with limited resources, Detroiters are such amazing artists that they still make incredible things happen. And I mean, that's one of the things I love about Detroit. To me, it's like a canvas to create all different kinds of things. And you see people doing that in all different ways. So, like you just said, I thought, okay, you go to college, you study a certain thing, you get a certain job in that thing, and then you do that job and you work for somebody. That's what I thought you were supposed to do. And I found out when I got to, a pretty high level in broadcasting, Detroit's a major market and, was winning awards and doing all kinds of things. that, yeah, I'm here in this dream job that I worked my whole life for, but this might not necessarily be it. And so how do I get to the next thing? And, it really was a process. The first thing I did was what any good reporter would do. I investigated the situation. So I met with all kinds of people who had job titles that sounded like something that I might be interested in. And I interviewed them and asked them questions. And, I was lucky in the fact that, people knew who I was by, anchoring the news. So they were interested in meeting with me to talk about these things. But, the more I spoke to people, the more I started to realize, okay, this is where my skills might be useful. I think that's the importance of networking and talking to people, and even doing internships or job shadowing. If you see someone doing something that looks like or sounds like something you want to do, try to find those opportunities to get in there and ask those questions and think about how you might fit into the picture. So, I have like a third job or fourth job, which is coaching news people who find themselves in a similar situation that I found myself, which is you reach a point where you just don't see any, future growth for yourself in that role. And maybe you want to try something different, and nobody knows what to do because it's not something they teach you. So I had to just sort of make it up as I was going along. And I started to see, using that creativity, I guess, I started to see a path, forward for myself and pursue it. And, even the corporate role, which was an amazing learning experience. I met so many incredible people, and it was so eye-opening. It wasn't exactly the right fit for me. I did want a bit more freedom to, explore different types of projects, whether it was a documentary or something, longer form, or even something really out there. Like during COVID, we did a very interesting arts film, and using a 100-year-old text and speaking with professionals, healthcare professionals battling COVID-19. And they read passages from this 100-year-old text and talked about how it applied to their lives today. And it was so eerie how this thing that was written 100 years ago made perfect sense today. I mean, that's just not a project that you're going to get a chance to work on necessarily in a corporate setting. So, that's why I decided to branch out and try this thing. And I really, they don't train you for it. So you do have to have the creativity and also the drive to push yourself through, this type of a transition.
With that transition, Robin, and as far as technology, what have been some of your more useful tools to really create your new content?
Well, first of all, let's just talk about COVID for a second, because, the technology we were using is the same as what you were using, Josh. Sorry, I'm like getting hair in my face. We would go out with cameras and we would interview people, and you had to physically be present in the room to get your interview. And then all of a sudden it was like, pulled the plug on all that. What am I going to do? And I woke up. Honestly, the first day I was like, oh no, the projects, what's going to happen to all the projects? Because we were going to do multiple more documentaries after that first one. And it was like the whole world was shutting down. And so I had my moment of, panic and mourning for the projects. And then I said, wait a second, it's 2020. I know there's a way I can interview somebody on my computer screen. Somebody needs to show me how to do it. And literally on like day 2 of lockdown, I had to learn how to use Zoom and like kind of, platforms like we're using right now. And I was so bad. Listen to how bad I was at it. I didn't even know that you could hit record and then it would record on your computer screen. So I'd be interviewing someone like this on Zoom, and I'd be I swear I did this. I'd be recording the computer, and then I would take it from my phone and go, put it where I needed it to be. And then I was like, oh, you can record on your computer. That's a lot easier. And things like that. I didn't have microphones that plug into your phone, and also I'll tell you something. I really was very much of a purist in terms of shooting things with broadcast cameras and fancy cameras, and then I realized you can shoot a whole documentary with this, right? So I mean, talk about technology changing. I mean, in my short 30-year career, which isn't that short, we went from having no cell phones. I would race other people to the payphone to call in your news tip, to today, where we can do we've got a whole show here. I mean,
You can.
feeling unhinged.
Listen. So you
Getting hot.
you are reiterating the fact that I have to continue this same common thread through most of the conversations we have. We are now in a permissionless society. Like you hear her saying that she had to race to the payphones. A lot of the audience doesn't even remember payphones. But just the fact that nowadays you have all of this in the palm of your hand, you're able to create if you know how to use the tools. And if you don't know, then ultimately the hope is that you evolve with it. And I think that we all felt that in the beginning of COVID.
Yes.
Especially those individuals who didn't really have that computer literacy. They had to figure out things where face to face you may have been able to get the training in the beginning, because we were doing a lot of the digital literacy training in the back 2017 and 18.
Yeah.
COVID struck. It's like everybody had to be fast tracked.
Yes.
Because not everybody knew what Zoom was, and they didn't know how to use. We use Ring Central, and I've been using Ring Central for quite some time now. But it was like, I had to force everyone to get into a lane of adaptation, whereas before they were like, I'm good. I don't want to do that. Nobody really wanted to do Zoom. Nobody wanted to do virtual meetings. And now it's like an everyday thing. We do it hand and foot without any, type of kickback from it. So
if I have to go to a meeting in person now, it's like, why?
Yeah.
We can just do it via Zoom.
Yeah.
Now, with that being said, is that beneficial or more problematic?
No, of course you want human contact, right? I mean, it's a little bit of everything. I mean, I think it's beneficial because you can accomplish so much more in a day. I could go right from this to the next thing without driving all over Metro Detroit. But yeah, no, you don't want to lose those relationships. And, fortunately, a lot of those relationships existed before all these technology things started to be common. So
yesterday, true story, I was talking to one of the partners in Texas.
Okay.
And she was telling me about how she wanted to drive all over the state to visit some of the military wives to explain, the expansion that we were going to do. And I was looking at her like, what do you mean drive all over the state? What do you mean?
Texas?
It's like, yeah. She was like, I got these pockets that I go to. And I was like, why are you going to drive over the state?
In Texas?
Texas. But the fact was that
I'll see you next year, Carlos.
Some of us are still so used to doing it the old way.
Yeah.
And I think that this pandemic flushed a lot of the possibilities with technologies that we had never really thought of before. And some of us still haven't gravitated towards it. No. So when you're telling me that you want to drive somewhere, or you're telling me about your career fairs, or you're telling me about your high school visits that are going to be in person, I mean, I kind of like, the connectivity that I have in this format. It doesn't mean necessarily that, it's hands-on and all that, but I still get the sense of presence with these type of, actions between the two of us.
Yeah. Josh, it's funny. It was like a period of trying different things. And, we did make an entire film with cell phone clips that people sent us. That one that I was talking about with the frontline workers of the pandemic. That was a really interesting experience. And I started getting very excited about like, what can we do? What can we create? And I was amazed at the really powerful stories that you can tell. And you guys saw this too in news, the same thing I was doing, you were doing. Guests were joining, via Zoom. And it was like, wow, that actually works. You
And
know,
the thing about it, I don't mean to cut you off, but I mean to cut you off. The thing about it is, it was always there.
Always.
You know, this just didn't happen when the pandemic happened. This technology, we have been dabbling with it for years prior to. You know, we just didn't want to welcome it.
Yeah, no, it really it changed a lot of things. But you know, my favorite thing still is to look someone in the eye and meet them in person. And of course, you can get, you know, the best footage when you're right there on the scene with somebody, as opposed to trying to direct somebody remotely to get, you know, get shots of yourself and hold your camera like this. Not like this.
Right.
But Robin, in all fairness, I think we can agree that early on in the pandemic, in terms of production, television news, it was all bad.
I wouldn't say bad. It was rough.
It was rough. Okay, rough.
But it taught us that maybe everything doesn't have to be as perfect and polished as we thought it needs to be, you know?
Yes.
And like I said, I mean, I'm as big of a snob as anybody of wanting the most perfect, you know, the most perfect footage. Like my motto was like, don't waste time doing it if it's not going to look good. Right. I mean, but then I learned that, you know, there is some value sometimes to the more gritty, you know, over the cell phone kinds of conversations. And I mean, cell phone footage, as you know, some often goes viral and is breaking news, and it's not high production quality. So, I mean, I think what it showed us is that there's room for everything. There's room for the beauty and the high production value, beautiful stuff that we love, but there's also room for something that's a little more gritty and in the moment. And, you know, I really kind of like the fact that we have these options to use, you know, to pull from as needed.
Absolutely. You mentioned you had a number of documentaries in the works prior to the pandemic. So what are some of those projects and where do they stand right now?
Well, the ones about bridging the digital divide were put on hold because a lot of those programs were put on hold and everything shifted in different directions. So that stuff is just sort of coming back now. I am working on a very interesting project with a longtime friend who took a group of women to climb Mount Kilimanjaro, to summit Mount Kilimanjaro, the world's largest freestanding mountain. It was a women's empowerment project, and each one of these women have had their own demons and their own life challenges, and they were all total strangers when the project started, and they each had different reasons for wanting to climb this mountain. And so I've actually been flying from city to city to meet the people who participated in this. We were just in Chicago. I'll be going to Maine. We have a shoot in New York City. And this is just, you know, that's like one of those exciting passion projects that I'm talking about that aren't always things that you can pursue when you're in, you know, a particular role with a particular company that you have to, you know, do a job. That's something that I can go off and sort of add to my plate, which is full. And I do have a lot of projects going on, but I love those passion things that come up, you know? So that's something I'm really excited about. And it's happening now. It's underway right now. And then, you know, just the amazing organizations that I get the chance to help tell their stories, the Downtown Boxing Gym, Connect 313 and all of its partners, Lighthouse. I don't want to leave anybody out. Mama Shu at Avalon Village. She was my first client. And you may have seen her reemerge in the news recently because she just completed the Homework House, which is a project that she started 6 years ago. And despite delays and obstacles and not having the funding and all the things, you know, that sort of stood in the way, she shows what determination and perseverance can do. She got that project done. She didn't care how long it was going to take. She did one piece at a time until it got finished. And, you know, people like her inspire me. The work that you guys are doing inspires me. The people at the Downtown Boxing Gym inspire me. The efforts to bridge the digital divide. I mean, that is the nice thing. Nothing against TV news, Josh. I totally love it. And it was such an amazing part of my life.
I'll say it for you.
sometimes you're not always inspired, at the end of the day, because you unfortunately are telling some of the, crimes and other things that happen in our world.
Yeah.
And the nice thing about what I'm doing today is I can really focus on things that truly inspire me. And that's, this is the best part of my career. I never would have said that. I never would have expected it, So I'm just really excited. I hope you can feel that excitement coming through when I talk about it.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, you can. So I got two questions real quick.
Okay.
So the first question is scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the best, the greatest, most perfect, of where you were in the throes of that 30-year career versus where you are now. Which one do you feel gets the 10 or gets close to it?
That's a really tough question, because the 30 years leading up to now is what got me here, right? So you got to give some props to that.
Yeah.
And I'm not giving anything a 10 because I think things can always be better. So there's no 10s, but I would say that this is really, this is getting close to the high point in my career. This is my favorite part of it so far. Having the autonomy, the freedom, the chance to, flex those creative muscles and, just kind of go where things take me. There's something very exciting about that. And I kind of live for that. So
okay.
I don't know. That was kind of like I didn't really answer you.
You dodged the question, but you learned that.
but in fairness to Robin, that's a tough question, because I haven't put in 30 years yet. I'm roughly 16 years into the industry. It's a craft. It becomes more than a job. It's a craft. It's a lifestyle.
Oh, it's a life.
So go ahead, Robin. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I had an absolute passion for news when I was doing it. Absolute passion for it. Did I lose my passion for it? No, I don't think so. Because the passion is for storytelling, and that's still what I'm doing. And when people ask, do you miss it? No, because I'm still doing it. I'm just not doing it on that exact stage, in that exact format,
Good answer.
Yeah.
So, I just think people should be open-minded, should know that there are other options out there for them. If they're in a role and it starts to not feel like the right fit, there are options.
Robin, you hit on an excellent point. For someone who was on the anchor desk in front of the camera for 30 years, and you're doing it in a different way now, give your perspective on doing both, because some people may have the perception that, oh, it's all about being in front of the camera. And maybe that's one of the reasons why people ask you, do you miss it?
Yeah. It was never about being in front of the camera for me, honestly. Just being on camera is not my favorite thing. And, this might come as a surprise to people, but I really struggled with terrible stage fright and anxiety, relating to breaking news and anchoring, even, because it's like you have one shot to get it right. And if you're a perfectionist like I am, and you're going to put, ridiculous amounts of pressure on yourself, you're going to get really nervous, which is what happened to me. So, in many ways, that part of my career was very uncomfortable. But I did it. And, one of the things I am most proud of in my career is that I continued to do it despite the discomfort. I found ways around it, but it wasn't about being on camera for me. For me, it was about storytelling. And so making the transition to being a storyteller in a different way wasn't hard, because I really never wanted to be on camera in the first place, if that makes any sense.
Right.
You're good at it.
Right.
And everybody who hears me say everyone who hears me say that says, like, no way, you didn't seem nervous. Oh my God. But
I wouldn't say nervous, Robin, but definitely butterflies. No matter how long you've done it, you always keep those butterflies.
Yeah. Everybody's different, right? Some people, like I anchored with Ron Savage, and he just thrived in a breaking news situation. He lived for that. Whenever there was breaking news, I'd be like, give it to Ron over here. Don't give it to me. I need time to prepare, think, meditate, get in the right, burn some incense.
I gotta go pray on it.
So, I can laugh at myself now, but honestly, I put myself through a lot of torture with all that pressure that I put on myself. When I do go back and watch some old videos, I do think I did a decent job. I think I probably would have done a better job if I just didn't stress myself out so much, but that, it's like a double-edged sword, right? It's like your whatever your best thing is also your worst thing, right? So maybe being a perfectionist took me to a certain level, but it also held me back in some ways,
Prepared you for your next your current venture.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So man, being off camera, I put makeup on just for you guys today.
Oh.
Back then it's like your hair, I still do the hair thing, but your hair has to be perfect. What you're wearing, you got to worry about it all the time. I would have to try things on and see not just how they look standing, but how do they look sitting? Because we're going to be sitting.
Mm-hmm.
Also, don't wear the same thing too many times. Kind of like all different.
In a town like Detroit,
because we do notice
in a city like Detroit,
I had all different colored coats, and oh my god, donated a lot of it.
So question 2. And it's real simple. I always tell people, be careful what you wish for. You just might get it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So now that you have your business, the PR firm, what would you say to the person that's sitting on the sideline and they're thinking about either starting a business or thinking that maybe starting a business isn't quite for them?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I think the be careful what you wish for part of it is, for me, is I'll be up at 3:00 in the morning working on things. I can't, there's like this feeling like, oh, I could take off. I don't have to put in any vacation requests. I could take off as many days as I want, except that if you do that, you're not working. And if you're not working, your business isn't running. And if your
no money.
So, there's some glamorous ideas about it, like being your own boss, being able to, take off as much time as you want, etc. But, there's another side of it too, which is that it all comes back to you. The business will only be as successful as you putting time in to it. If you decide to go, I could take a month off, but what's going to happen,
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know if that answers your question, but it's not for somebody who's not going to keep pushing and keep driving and keep all the balls juggling in the air.
What's this gonna take?
Yeah, exactly.
Carlos, here's another saying, something you like to preach here at DSDT: show up and show out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You have to show up and show out.
Yeah.
And that's how you get to win.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think any of us get to sit around and have these types of conversation if you don't have that type of mindset.
Yeah.
You got to be the first one in the office and last one to leave.
Ask my family. Right? My lights are on at 3:00 in the morning. There's a reason for that too. Aside from me being a night owl, it's hard for me to focus when the rest of the world is happening. Every little ding on the cell phone, every phone call, every email, pulls your attention in different directions. And so, see, there you go. For me, I need to really focus on what I'm doing. So I wait till the whole rest of the world goes to sleep. And that's when I'm able to really work. I don't know how I did it. I must have just been really good at like maybe putting headphones on and just drowning out whatever was going on around me. I don't know.
I feel like you're telling my story. I mean, that's what I'm talking about. These creators, right? I don't know if we all are like that, but I get some of my best work done in the throes of the night.
Mm-hmm.
And like I've often told you, that's only how I can catch you at 4:00 in the morning. I'm like, I can go home right now, go to sleep at 7, be up by 11 or 12, and stay up the majority of the rest of the night.
Yeah.
but it's creating.
Yeah.
You know, whatever the project is, whatever the thought I can't seem to get rid of, whatever deadline I'm trying to meet, it has to happen in the middle of the night because I'm just so distracted by everything else. There's just so much going on.
I'm so glad it's not just me. My favorite thing to do when someone emails me at like 3 a.m. is just email them right back because I know it freaks them out.
Yeah, you do a pretty good job of that. I'm just saying.
So anyway, I don't know. In the end, you know, I would just like to look back and think that I really got a chance to tell some powerful and impactful stories that made a difference to people. That's really all it is. That's what I'm trying to do.
Indeed. And Robin, before we let you go, where can people find you? Social media, the name of your company, all of that.
Yeah, I have social media pages on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and LinkedIn. RobinSchwartzPR.com is my website. And yeah, I mean, I'm around. You'll see me around Detroit. I'm pretty much all over the place.
Absolutely.
Right on. Well, Robin, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. You have a great afternoon, great evening, and I know you're going to be up to about 3 o'clock in the morning doing more work. So if you are, make sure to tune in tomorrow morning at 4 o'clock, if you don't mind.
You know what? If I just stayed up an hour later.
Yeah.
I'm sleeping at 4.
You know the game. Just turn on the TV and just leave it on for the ratings.
Leave it on. Get you those ratings.
My good friend, good to see you. Good to talk to you.
Good to see you too. Thank you so much for having me.
Bye-bye. Let's stay up one more hour.
Hey, ratings.
Right. We need every view.
Yes,
every
it goes a
view.
long way. It
Right.
goes a long way. Hey, my brother, good episode here. Good perspective from Robin Schwartz. Always a good time with Amber Boone out in Vegas, doing it big.
How long is this gonna take?
Okay, well, hey, we're done. That will do it for the Tech School Podcast, powered by DSDT. See ya.